Hi guys, I Aziz welcome you to CoedMaster. JavaScript map function is the widely used function in JavaScript because it helps us in mapping the existing elements of the array to new elements. And if you want to master map function, then this video is for you. So guys, in this video I am going to talk about map function in JavaScript. Here we will learn what is map function, how map function actually works internally, and then we will implement the map function from scratch. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Alright guys, so here I have initialized a person array with 3 elements, and each of these elements represents height of each person at specific index. So at index 0 the person height is 3 feet tall, at index 1 the person height is 4 feet tall, and so on and so forth. Cool. Now the second, we have initialized an object with the name context, and this object represents the height unit which is in feet. So far so great. Now let's use the map function on this person array. Okay, so we can write person.map. Now this map function is going to accept 2 arguments. One is the callback function and the second argument is this argument. So let's pass it null for now. Now this callback function accepts 3 parameters. One is the element of the array on which the map function is iterating. Second parameter is going to be the index, and the third parameter is the array itself. So let's call it ARR. Great. Now what we need to do here, as we have to map the existing element of the array to new element, we have to return something from this callback function. So here we can write return, give it a string, and in this string we will write that at index this, the element is going to be the value and the value of element. We have to write this thing inside the string. Okay, great. Now the map function is going to return the modified array with the new elements. So we have to store the return value of this map function in a variable which we are going to name it as result, and then we will simply console the value of result. As simple as that. Let's format the file and we are good to go. Now let's run the program. npm run nodemon. Our program is running. Let's save the file, and you can see that the value is appearing on the console. So we have index 0 value 3, index 1 value 4, and index 2 value 5. So right now we are not processing the values. Now what we are going to do, we will process all the elements. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's increment the value of each element by 1. So let's call +1. Let's save the file, and you can see that now the values are changed. Before it was 3, 4 and 5. Now we have incremented all the elements, and now we can see the value as 4. 3 is incremented by 1, then 4 is incremented by 1 which gives 5, and 5 is incremented by 1, it gives us 6. Great. Okay, now let's see how we can set the value of this keyword of the callback function. Okay, so how can we do it? We can simply pass this argument over here. So right now we are passing null. Now we will pass the context as this argument value, right? Now what it's gonna do, it's going to simply set the value of this identifier inside of this callback function so that we can use the value from this context. So let's use this value and write this dot unit. Okay, so this is pointing to this object, and this object has one property with the name unit, and we are capturing the value of this property over here. Okay, let's save the file, and you can see that now we are getting output as the array of 3 strings. In first string we are getting index 0, value of 4, and then feet, then we are getting 5 feet, and then we are getting 6 feet. Looks good, cool. Okay, so this is how we can use map function to map over the elements of array, then process the elements and get the new array back as a result. Okay, now let's talk about how this map function actually works behind the scenes. Okay, so this map function is receiving 2 arguments. The number 1 argument is the callback function, and the second argument is the this argument, right? Now what map function does internally, it's gonna create a new array with the size of exactly the same size of this person array, and then it's gonna call our callback function to process that element. Okay, and then whatever this callback function returns, it's gonna store that value at a specific index. Okay, so this way it's iterate over all the elements, it process all the elements, and then it stores all the new elements in the newly created array, and then it's gonna return the newly created array to us. Okay, and along with that, it also does one thing, that whenever we pass the context as a second argument, it's gonna set the value of this identifier or keyword of this callback function so that we can use this over here. Sounds good. Okay, so I hope now you have a good idea that how map function actually works. Now let's take a step ahead and then implement the map function from scratch. Okay, so let's see how we can do it. So let's write array.prototype.map, and this is a function, and this function is going to take 2 arguments. The first one is the callback function, and the second one is the this argument. Cool. So now we are going to write the map algorithm in 4 steps. In the first step, we are going to validate the argument. In the second step, we are going to do some initialization. In the third step, we will process the elements, and in the last step we are going to return the new array. Okay, modified array we can say. So what we are going to validate here, it's pretty simple. We are going to validate the callback function and this argument. So let's validate callback function first. So if callback function is equal to null, or if callback function is equal to undefined, then we need to throw an error. So let's throw an error, throw new reference error with the message that callback function must be defined. Great. Now we are going to validate this argument. So maybe user passed this argument or not. We need to verify or validate this. Okay, so this argument is equal to, if user passed this argument, then it's okay, otherwise we will use null as this argument. Cool. So step number 1 is done. Now in next step we are going to initialize some variables. So the first variable is going to be the array itself, on which we are going to iterate, right? So how we can extract the array? It's pretty simple. When we call a map function on a person array, this value, this keyword inside the map function represents the person array. Okay, so we can call this, and it's going to give us the person array. Great. Next we are going to need one array to hold all the elements. So let's call it result. Okay, and let's create a new array of size exactly same as the person array. Okay, so as we stored the reference of person array in array variable, we can use this variable as it is. So let's write array.length. So it's gonna create the exact same size of array as this array or the person array. Great. Now we need to loop over all the elements of person array. Okay, so for this we need to use the for loop construct. So let's initialize one variable with the name index, which is started from 0, then it goes up to the array.length. So let's call it, if index is less than arr array.length, and then increment the index by 1. Cool. Okay, now we need to process all the elements one by one. Okay, so to process all the elements one by one, we need to call the callback function. So let's use the callback function, callback.call. So here we are going to use the inbuilt call function. And what this call function does, it's gonna call, or it's gonna invoke the callback function with the given this argument, or the this keyword, or the value of this keyword. Okay, please remember. So in this case, what is the value of this keyword inside the callback function? It's going to be the this argument, as simple as that. And then we are going to pass 3 arguments to this callback function. And what is that? First one is the element, second one is the index, and third one is the array itself. Okay, so element is simple. We have to go to this array and then finds out the element using this index. Okay, the second argument is the index. So index we can use over here, and then the array itself, so we can pass this array as it is. And this callback function, when invoked, gives us a value. Okay, so we need to store this value in the result array at a specific index, obviously. So we can use index over here. Okay, so after processing all the elements, okay, I forgot to move this comment over here. So our third step is also done. Now we can simply go to step number 4, and we can simply return the value of result. Cool. So this is going to be our final implementation of map function. So let me recall once again. First we are validating call function, then we are validating this argument, then we are initializing 2 variables with the name array and the result. Then we are processing all the elements by invoking the callback function and getting the value and storing it at a specific index, and then we are returning the result. So far so great. Now instead of using the default map function, we are going to use our custom map function, and for this we don't need to change anything. We just simply call person.map by giving it a callback function as the first argument and the context as the second argument, and then we can simply log the result. If I save the file, you can see the exact same output as before. Here we have index 0, value 4 feet, index 1, 5 feet, index 2, 6 feet. Looks good. Now we can do one more thing, that we can verify the validation. Okay, so for this, let's call the map function without passing the callback function. Okay, let's save the file, and you can see that the error is thrown, and which says callback function must be defined, which means the validation is working absolutely fine. Okay, now let's remove the context from here, and let's pass a null value over here. Now hopefully we will see undefined in the output. Let's save the file, and you can see that we are getting undefined as the value of unit. And why is it so? Because when we pass null as the value of this argument, the value of this identifier of this function is set as a window object, which is done by the JavaScript engine, and which is an implicit binding, and we don't have any value with the name unit on window object, which is why we are getting undefined. Let's revert back, and you will see the correct output as expected. So this is pretty much all about map function in JavaScript. Alright guys, this is all from my side for this video. If you learned something valuable from this video, then please hit the like button in order to make YouTube algorithm happy. Please subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to click the bell icon so my friend you never miss any upcoming videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.